Hello everyone, welcome back to the next session of Kanji Oboima show. Today we'll be looking at kanjis number 151 to 160. So let's get straight into it. The first kanji is 151 and this is what it looks like. Okay, now let's try and arrive at the meaning. I hope you remember this is sound, okay, and we know that this is heart. So you can think of it as the sound inside your heart. The sound inside your heart, or the sound your heart makes, okay, and you can associate it back with your mind. Okay, whenever you think of something, or whenever you say my heart wants this or my heart wants that or any of those things, you're basically talking about the thing that you call yourself that's inside. It's not literally the organ, the heart, but what you would call the heart of a person, you know, so a more metaphorical kind of heart. Another way of framing that is of course your mind, and the voice inside your heart or your mind can also be interpreted as your thoughts, right? It can be your opinion on things, it can be your will, right, your desire to do something, things like that, or it can even be referring to meaning, right, or something we call sense, not as in sensory but like sense, your sixth sense kind of sense, okay, that kind of stuff. All right, now we will quickly move on to the on and kunyomi, and it has only one, that is an onyomi, and it is e. Okay, this one does not have any kunyomi, right? Let's move on to some words. So okay, this will be read as iken, okay, or it is opinion, or it is your view, right? Your mind or your heart, and seeing how your mind or your heart looks at it, or how your thoughts see things, stuff like that. So that's opinion or view. Okay, now let's have a look at the next one. Okay, this is koi. The first one is of course to like something, and the second is thought or opinion or will or sense. Okay, so it is goodwill, okay, or favor or kindness. Okay, goodwill, favor or kindness. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. Okay, this is yoi suru, which means to prepare, to make arrangements. Okay, yo being to use or employ, and e is of course your mind, thought, or your will. In this case, it is better to go with the meaning of will. So how you use something and how you will it to be used. So preparations or any arrangements you make. It's a bit of a stretch, but still try and associate the meanings in order to have an easier time. Okay. Okay, fu, I, ni. The first kanji is kind of like un, and the second is will, so without will. Rather than thinking of it as unwillingly, think of it as by accident, by surprise, by accident, things like that. That is to say, it wasn't entirely intentional. Oops. So by surprise or all of a sudden. Okay, by surprise or all of a sudden. Let's have a look at the next one. Okay, this is bumi. So this is the meaning of a passage. Bui or purport. Okay, let's have a look at the next kanji now. In case you're wondering what purport means, I'm not in a position to tell you exactly, so I would say just look up the dictionary. It is still easier to just try and remember it as meaning of a passage. Okay, so number 152. But actually, you know what, okay, before we can go into number 152, let's have a look at all the kanjis we have done since the previous session that have had a lot of similarities to them. Okay, you have 1 and you have 2, then you have 3, then you have 4, okay, so you have these 4 kanjis. So now let's try and see what this is. So the thing that is common to all of them is of course this part and this part, or some meaning that is derived from this first kanji. So let us first have an elaborate kind of interpretation for the first one. Okay, so here, like we said, this part we will always consider as a plant growing from the ground. The only difference being we are not going to draw this last step of the ground. Okay, so just try and remember this kanji and how we interpreted this kanji that I have drawn right now as a plant growing from the ground. And in case of the kanji that we are currently trying to see, that is this one, we will not consider the last stroke, we will only consider the plant part. Okay, so you are able to see the plant and you are also able to see the sun on the other side of it. Okay, so you are looking at the plant at ground level, but at the same time you are also able to see the sun right there. So it means that it must be early in the morning, right? Early in the morning. That is why the meaning is early. And another meaning that you can easily associate with it is quick. Okay, so early or quick, that is the first step. Okay, the next step is, it's early in the morning, you're looking at a plant, and at the same time you see a couple more things standing, or rather you are able to see a couple more things sticking out from the ground, which is not at the same level of the plant, which is slightly taller. So you can think of it as grass, right? There is another tip that I gave you. I said that this set of 3 strokes is called kusa kanmuri, which is to say grass crown. Okay, so you can just remember that this refers to grass, and usually anything with this stroke will usually be associated with plants. Okay, so that is how you can remember grass, right? We'll move to the next one. So here again we will continue with the meaning of this, where we said this is a plant, then we are able to see the sun, and then you're able to see another set of plants. Okay, so you're able to see plants and the sun fairly early at the ground level, and at the same time you're also able to see the moon in the sky. Okay, the sun and moon both are there in the sky, and you're able to see plants, so it's clearly early morning, right? So here the early part is kind of understood, and this whole kanji will mean morning. Morning. Okay, that's how we'll remember that. Okay, and now we look at the last kanji. The last one, this stroke of course refers to water, and you're saying it's morning. Okay, so you're talking about water, that is something that you will be able to see early in the morning, so you can refer to it as the morning tide. I can understand how it's tempting to perhaps interpret it as dew, but that is not it. Do not think of dews, it is morning tide. Okay, so I hope you are able to see how we can arrive at the meaning of these subsequent kanjis with the meaning of just this one, right? It isn't too difficult. If you remember kanjis like this in a way that they are associated with each other, you will be able to remember the distinction more easily. Alright, now that that set is done, we'll move to the next set. The next set is actually, so this is one, okay, that is the next one. Okay, that's a really huge stroke. Okay, these are the three kanjis that are somewhat similar. So again we'll look at the first one. Like I said, it kind of reminds us of what we call the tori, which is what you'll get to see in a lot of wallpapers and stuff. When you look for Japan, or when you just search for images of Japan, you will see these. It's something like this. Okay, and they're usually red in color. Maybe I should have used a red pencil. Okay, something like this. I hope you're able to see the tori here. It's pretty much the same thing that I drew at the time of the mnemonic. So this torii, this torii is present in all three. So here in case of the first kanji, you are interpreting these three strokes as being saw strokes, or the strokes of a hammer. Okay, let me call it the strikes of a hammer. Okay, and what you're trying to do is give shape. So what does it do? Give shape. Okay, or ensure the form. So the meaning of this kanji is shape or form. Okay, let's have a look at the next one now. Here you're talking about the torii gate here at the bottom. Okay, this is your torii, and you're able to see that the torii is kind of coming up after something on top of it has opened. So there is an opening from which this torii has come. Okay, so the meaning, it has a bunch of meanings, one of them being open up, and you have emit, and you have issue. Okay, a lot of such meanings. You have start, generate, several such meanings, but it's, I think, most easy to remember this, that something has opened up and emitted or issued a torii gate, right? Okay, now let's have a look at the next one. Okay, we we will associate this kanji that is inside as being something we developed, okay, something we developed, and we will look at this as a slanted roof. Why is a slanted roof? Because this is your fixed roof. So here, if one side is long, you can think of it as a slanted roof. Okay, so there's a slanted roof, and you've put whatever you have developed, this new thing, you've put whatever you developed inside that slanted roof. Okay, you're no longer using it because it's inside in some shed instead of being outside where it can be used. Okay, it's just been put there, it's been put under the warehouse, which means it has been abandoned. Okay, or its use has been abolished. Okay, I hope you're able to see how we can come up with each of these meanings. Okay, and now we'll have a look at the next set that we have seen so far. The next set is this. Okay, this is the first one. This is the second one. Okay, we said there is a, in case of the first kanji, we said there is a man who is standing on top of the sun, but because the sun is so hot, he is screaming at the top of his lungs. Okay, and this kanji stands for sound. Okay, and in case of this second kanji, you are talking about the sound of your heart. Okay, or your mind, because that kanji can be interpreted as both. Okay, so it refers to your thoughts, it refers to opinion, your will, how you derive meaning, your senses, all those kinds of things. Okay, okay, I hope this was useful. Okay, now we will go straight away to the next kanji, and here we are seeing a break in the pattern. Okay, this is what that kanji looks like. Okay, this is what that looks like. I will first give you the meaning of this kanji. The meaning is to make, to produce, to cultivate, to work or do. Okay, now let's try and see how we can come up with the meaning. So here we know this is a person, and we will interpret this part as being a saw. You know, a saw like this with teeth. A saw. Okay, so we will use this saw to cut something up and to create or to make or to produce. Okay, let's have a look at the on and kunyomi now. It has a bunch of similar kunyomis. The first is of course tsukuru, then you have tsukuri, and then you have zukuri. Okay, tsukuru, tsukuri, zukuri. And the onyomi for this, there are two. You have saku and you have sa. Okay, you have saku and you have sa. Let's have a look at some words for this. Okay, okay, I got the stroke order wrong. Let me do that once again. Okay, this will be read as sakse suru, sakse suru. Okay, saku, to make, say, to become. Okay, so sakse suru is to make. Okay, to make, to produce, to prepare. Okay, now let's have a look at the next one. Okay, this will be read as mugisaku, mugisaku, which means wheat cultivation. Wheat cultivation. Okay, now we'll have a look at one of the kunyomis. This is tsukuru, which is to make, to create, or to grow. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. This will be read as sayo, sayo. Okay, make and use, make and use, or you're talking about an action. Okay, an operation. Okay, or a function, or an effect. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. This will be read as saho, saho. Okay, make law. It's a little difficult to arrive at the meaning, but it is manners. You know, something that has been defined as being the proper thing to do. Okay, etiquette. Okay, or decorum. Okay, now we'll move on to the next kanji. This is number 153. Okay, let's have a look at what this means. So here from the previous kanji, I hope you remember we said this would be treated as a saw, and we know that this refers to day. Okay, so you're saying that we saw off a day. Okay, from today. So what does that mean? You have sawed off or you have shaved off a day from today, which means you're talking about yesterday. Oops. Okay, you're talking about yesterday. Okay, a very similar meaning that you can associate is last. Last. Okay, which is to say previous. Okay, previous. Now let's have a look at the onin kunyomi. Very conveniently, again, this does not have any kunyomi, and the onyomi is the same as what we saw for the last kanji. So the saw part is your hint for how it has to be pronounced, and it is saku. You pronounce it as saku. Okay. Now let's have a look at the words. Okay, this is sakujitsu. Sakujitsu, you can also read it as kino. Kino. Okay, you can read it both ways, and it means yesterday. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. Oops. Okay, this can be read as Isakujitsu. Isakujitsu, or you can also read it as Ototoi. Ototoi. Okay, which is the day before yesterday. Okay, one before yesterday or the day before yesterday. Okay, now let's have a look at the next one. This is Sakunen. Sakunen, which is also last year, just like Kyonen. And this also has two ways of being read. Isakunen or Ototoshi. Ototoshi, which means the year before the last. The year before the last. Okay, let's have a look at the next kanji. This is number 154. Okay, and this is how that looks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I hope it's pretty obvious what this kanji is. It stands for rain. It's very easy to see how you can interpret all of this as being a rain cloud, and those 4 little strokes that we put in at the end are rain. Okay, it's very obvious. Doesn't really require much of a mnemonic. You just need to look at what it appears like and just associate the first thing that comes to mind, which should be rain. Okay, let's have a look at how we can read this. You can read it as ame, or it can also be used as a prefix ama, and the onyomi is u. U. Let's have a look at some words. This will be amamizu. Amamizu. You can also read it as usui. I only just realized that I followed a completely different way of writing those up there. Oh well, whatever. Okay, it means rainwater. It's pretty obvious it means rainwater. Just okay, let's have a look at the next one. Okay, ame agari, ame agari, which means just after a rainfall. Okay, just after a rainfall. Let's have a look at the next one. This is more like a phrase. Oops. Okay, this will be read as Amega Yanda. Amega Yanda, which means it stopped raining. It stopped raining. Now let's have a look at a couple more words. Okay, this is Oame. Oame, which means heavy rain. Heavy rain. And then you have this is Koame. Koame, which means drizzle. Okay, big rain, small rain, right? Heavy rain and drizzle. Okay, pretty obvious. Let's have a look at the next one. Number 155, and this is how that looks. Okay, let's try and see how we can interpret this. So we already said previously that we should be able to see a rain cloud and those little drops of rain over there. Okay, now imagine that there is something below the rain cloud, which kind of goes long. It comes out like so from under the rain cloud. Or if I say that, okay, let me draw it better. If I say that there is a rain cloud like so, something like so, and you're able to see something coming out of it like so, then what do you suppose you're talking about? You're probably talking about lightning. And what is lightning? Lightning is nothing but electricity. Okay, so basically you interpret the lower part of it as a lightning bolt coming from the rain cloud. Okay, so let's have a look at the on and kunyomi. Again, very conveniently, this does not have any kunyomi, you only have onyomi, and the onyomi is then. Okay, let's have a look at some words now. This is denki. Denki, which has two meanings. Again, it is electricity. Okay, or it can also be in an electric light. Okay, so sometimes electric lamps are called denki as well. Okay, let's have a look at the next word. This is denryoku. Denryoku, or electric power, or again electricity. Oops. Yeah, electricity. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. Okay, this is Hatsuden. Okay, generate electricity, right? Pretty obviously. So you're talking about generation of electricity, right? I wrote electricity. Okay. Okay, a word of caution: when you learn too many languages or you know too many languages, they kind of start to mix after a certain point without you even realizing them. So yeah, beware. I'm not saying it's going to happen to every one of us or that it will even necessarily happen to the best of us, but it does happen to some of us, and I happen to be one of those people who's affected. So be careful. Okay, we have the next word. Okay, this is denwa, denwa, which means telephone, telephone, or a phone call. Okay, or a phone call. I hope you can see it. You have electricity and you have talk. Electricity enables you to talk, or electronic talk, or electric talk, or whatever, and that the enabling thing is a telephone, right? Let's have a look at the next one. Densha. If you're a Japanese person or you know a Japanese person, you know that densha is a very important word for them. Densha is what keeps Japan running. And densha is electric train. Now I hope you know why I said that. It can also refer to a train in general or even a trolley, but generally you're talking about electric train. Okay, now let's have a look at the next one. You have number 156. Okay, okay, let me just rewrite that. Yeah, this is a lot better. You ideally want the first stroke to be longer than the width of the part that looks like an eye. Okay, it's a little difficult to understand how this can be interpreted, so I'm going to skip the mnemonic and straight away go to the meaning. The meaning is page. The meaning is page. Did I choose the wrong color? Yes, I did. Okay. Okay, page. Let's have a look at the on and kunyomi. You have page, page, or you can even call it page. Okay, page. And the onyomi is okay, ketsu, ketsu. Let's have a look at some words for it. Okay, so you have 1ページ. Actually, it is better I don't use that, it's kind of confusing, so I will use the katakana of it. 1ページ, 1ページ, meaning page 1 or 1 page. Okay, page 1 or 1 page. Now let's have a look at the next one. Okay, this will be read as pejitsuke, pejitsuke, which means pagination, that is to say adding page numbers. Okay, pagination. Let's have a look at the next one. Okay, so you will read this as 500ページの本、500ページの本, a book of 500 pages, a book of 500 pages. Okay, pretty easy. An important note to remember in case of this kanji especially is that you will rarely or almost never see this kanji standalone. Almost never see as a standalone kanji. Most often you will see it as a component grapheme. That is to say, most often you will see this as a component kanji of a larger kanji, a much more complex kanji. Okay, that's it. Let's move on to the next one, number 157. Okay, let's try and see how we can remember this. Okay, I hope we all remember this. It means shellfish. Okay, so here this particular shellfish, we've had its legs removed. Okay, whoops. We've had its legs removed, and instead we've seen it have some hairs attached to it. Okay, some hairs attached to it on top of what can be interpreted as its neck, right? So here the meaning of this kanji is neck. So think of this entire exercise as trying to bring attention to this stroke. So here you have the shell of the shellfish, here you have the hair and the head, and this is the neck. So this crucial part is what is joining the shell to the rest of it. So that is why neck. Okay, I erased it because it's not exactly very straightforward or very easy to remember. It's up to you if you want to use that mnemonic, but personally I would prefer not to. Okay, so the first meaning is neck, then you have head, then you also have leader. Okay, the head and neck are easy to remember, the leader part not so much. So let's try and remember a few words so that the meaning sticks in our heads. Alright, so the on and kunyomi, the kunyomi is kubi, kubi, and the onyomi is shu, shu. Okay, let's have a look at some words now. Okay, this is read as bushu, bushu, which means radical of a kanji, radical of a kanji. Okay, so here, because you have already seen, I hope, in the kanji video where I say that radicals represent the key element of the entire kanji, and radicals give you critical important information about what that kanji can be, basically because the radical usually imparts what is called semantic information. So you are able to associate the meaning of a particular kanji based on what radical it is based off of, right? So it is kind of crucial, it is kind of like, you can think of it as the head of the kanji, because the head is a very important, very critical part of the body. The body can survive without a hand, the body can survive without a leg, you can even lose almost the entirety of your bottom half and still manage to be alive. But the second you lose your head, you're done, you just die, right? Chop off a head and you're just done, no matter what creature you are. There are exceptions, but still that's generally a rule. So the radical functions kind of like that, which is why you're saying that the section that is the leader or the head in case of kanjis, and that is bushu. Okay. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. Okay, baiorin no kubi. Baiorin, I'm just going to write it the same way. Baiorin no kubi, which is neck of a violin. Okay, neck of a violin. Let's have a look at the next one. This will be read as tekubi, tekubi, or the neck in a hand, that is to say wrist, wrist. Okay, here it's easier to interpret it as neck, because if you think about your hand, there is this particular joint that comes up, and then the half that is on top of it gets to move a lot more freely than the rest. If you look at the palms and your fingers, they move a lot more freely than the rest of your hand, and you can say that that is because we have these interesting necks at the end of our forearms, that is to say our wrists. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. This is Genshu, Genshu, or original leader, or you can think of it as a ruler, or what we call a sovereign. Okay, a ruler is also called a sovereign. Let's have a look at the next one. Okay, this will be read as Shucho, Shucho, which is again leader or chief, because both kanjis can have the meaning leader. Okay, let's have a look at the next kanji now. This is number 158. Number 158, and this is what that kanji looks like. Okay, the last stroke is not, I am not very good at drawing it. It's supposed to be a very beautiful stroke, but I am not very good at drawing it, unfortunately. In any case, so here once again I will give you the meaning straight away. It's kind of difficult to give you a mnemonic for this. I will simply tell you what it is. It means way. It means way. Okay. The on and kunyomi. The kunyomi for this is michi, michi, and the onyomi is do or to, do or to. Okay, let's have a look at some words now. Okay, okay, you'll read it as suido, waterways or waterworks, basically. That is to say, the path your water travels, or pipelines, or that is to say waterworks. Okay, your water supply, or you can also think of it as a channel for water. Okay, channel. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. Okay, this will be read as kido, kido, which, similar to the previous one, instead of talking about water, you're talking about air. So you're talking about an air passage. Okay, an air passage. Let's have a look at the next one. Oops. This will be read as shodo, shodo, which means the way of writing or penmanship, penmanship, or calligraphy. Okay, penmanship or calligraphy. Let's have a look at the next one. Okay, this will be read as nindo, nindo, or human way or humanness, humanness. Okay, I think there is one less n there. Okay, humanness or humanity, humanity. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. This is Hokkaido. Hokkaido. Why is it Hokkaido? Because I hope you remember this kanji for north is the only kanji that is read as hoku. So you have hoku kaido. So hoku and kai, when you say them together really quickly, they kind of become like hokkai, which is why it is shortened that way. Okay, that's just it. So Hokkaido. So this is referring to Hokkaido, the island of Hokkaido. Okay, the island of Hokkaido. So one point here, for those of us who have been watching a lot of Naruto or who have watched a lot of Naruto, in on many instances, the title character, the protagonist, says "Ore no nindo da," "Ore no nindo da." So that nindo is not this same nindo, because he's not referring to this nin. He is referring to the nin from ninja. Okay, that nin, and which is why it is interpreted as his way of the shinobi or way of the ninja, basically. Okay, but the point I'm trying to make is this way, this do is common there. Okay, it is this same do, this way or this path or this road. That's basically the interpretation of this. Okay, let's have a look at the next one then. This is number 159. Okay, and this is how that looks. It's a bit of a complicated kanji, not too difficult though. It's just a moment, I seem to have mistaken the stroke order. So here is where kanji can get really frustrating. In case of this particular kanji, so you can almost interpret this bottom half as being the same as this bottom half, right? But here, in case of this one, in case of this kanji, you will write the horizontal strokes before the vertical one, but in case of this one, you will write the vertical stroke before the horizontal one. So it's really confusing. So yes, I may get the stroke order wrong, but it's not too important most of the times, because very few people still write by hand. That is to say, very few non-Japanese people still write by hand. And to those people who do write by hand and who are non-Japanese, well, I really have to, hand it to you. I really have to hand it to you for how much you have persevered on what I honestly consider a torturous kind of language. No offense to anyone, I really do love Japanese. I learned it because of anime, but still I do think it is some next level torture to have to learn this kind of stuff. Kanjis are really the stuff of nightmare. Anyway, enough of a rant. So let's quickly move on to the meaning. Again, it's a little bit difficult for me to give you the mnemonic here, so I will skip it. I will just tell you the meaning. Okay, so the meaning is to pass through, or you can also think of it as communicate, to communicate. Okay, let's have a look at the onen kunyomi. It has a bunch of very similar kunyomis. One of the kunyomis, rather, okay, let's just straight get into it. So you have toru, toru, you have tori, tori, nori. Okay, tosu, toshi, doshi, and of course The last one, kayo, kayo. Okay, now let's have a look at the onyomi for this, which is tsu or tsu, tsu or tsu. Alright, let's look at some words for this now. So we'll start with the easiest. We'll start with one of the kunyomis. So it is toru, toru, which means to pass, as in to pass by, okay, or to pass through or get through. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. This is tosu, tosu, which is to say to let pass, to let pass, to admit, okay, or to carry through. Or to carry through. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. Okay, this is tsugaku, tsugaku, which means attending school. Attending school or commuting to school. Or commuting to school. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. Okay, oops, I missed a stroke. Okay, this is tsushin, tsushin, which is correspondence. Or communication. Okay, or communication. You have the next one now. This is, whoops, it is kotsu, kotsu, which means traffic, communication, communication or transportation. Okay, there is actually one more, but I'm a little bit confused about it, which is why I'm just going to quickly check it. Okay, there is okay, you have tsuko, 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 which means friendly relations. I hope you can see how this is a little bit confusing, right? Kotsu meaning traffic and transportation, and tsuko being friendly relations. Well, I can't really help it, but just try and remember them. Okay. And now we arrive at the last kanji for today, number 160. Okay, and this is how that is. Okay, that's how that is. And this is also a little bit difficult for me to give you the reading to, so the meaning to, the mnemonic for. The meaning is milk or breast. Okay, and the on and kunyomi, you have chichi or chi, and the onyomi is new. Okay, new. Now here we get some words which are very common daily life kind of words. Okay, one of the first words that we learn actually when we start studying for Japanese. This is gyunyu. Gyunyu. That is to say cow's milk, right? A lot of people are used to having coffee and tea with milk in it, especially Indians. So this is one of those words that we learn very early, like what do you eat at home, or basic kind of conversations. Do you have milk in the fridge, or can you go and buy some milk, or stuff like that, very basic kind of word. So gyunyu, that's how you write it. Then you have the next word. Should be pretty obvious what this is. Bonyu, which is mother's milk. Okay. Then you have the reverse of this, the real confusing stuff, the stuff of nightmare. Okay, this was mother's milk, and now you're talking about a milk mother, so what could that be, right? You will read this as new, oops, you will read this as uba, so which is a, neither, it's neither the onyomi nor the kunyomi. It's kind of strange for the first kanji, right? And this means a wet nurse. Okay, now let's have a look at the next one. Okay, so we already know that this will be read as uba, so we will retain it, uba, and then we will say guruma. To anyone thinking that this is a car for the wet nurse, it's not, it's a baby carriage. Okay, it's a baby carriage. Again, do not ask me why it is like this, it just is. Okay, it just is. Alright, this concludes today's session. I hope it wasn't too difficult, and if you're already discouraged, it's going to be a really long and difficult journey, because we still have 2100 more to go. Okay, I'm not saying this to discourage you, alright, but still, we still have another 2000 to go. Anyway, thanks a lot, and see you.